one day or day one, there comes a moment in every life when a voice whispers, quiet but insistent, you were meant for more, and right then you have two choices. You can say, one day I'll chase my dreams, or you can declare, this is day one of the rest of my life. You see, greatness doesn't wait. It doesn't tap you politely on the shoulder. It demands that you decide, and if you're still waiting for the perfect time, let me tell you, it doesn't exist. There is no one day. There is only day one. Every champion, every icon, every person who ever changed the world began with a simple choice, to start, not when they had all the answers, not when the path was clear. They started scared, they started unprepared. But they started anyway. The dream you hold in your heart, that fire that won't go out, it's not random, it's your soul speaking to you, and it's not asking for permission, it's demanding that you act. Do not wait for motivation to strike like lightning. Forge it. Discipline is the hammer, faith is the flame, and action is the anvil on which success is built. Understand this. The distance between who you are and who you want to be is measured in decisions, not years, not luck, not talent. Decisions, and today you can make one that changes everything. There is a subtle poison that seeps into the minds of millions. It's called one day. It sounds harmless. Harmless enough to whisper into your ear, one day you'll start that dream project, one day you'll have enough money, one day you'll become the person you were meant to be, but one day is not a timeline, it is a trap. This idea of one day disguises itself as optimism, but in truth, it is procrastination wearing a mask. It makes you feel like you're on the path to greatness while quietly chaining you to your current place. It promises that the stars will align eventually, that someday you'll feel ready, but readiness does not come from waiting. Readiness is the reward of action. When a person says one day, they are deferring power to some future version of themselves, stronger, smarter, braver. But the only version of yourself that has any power is the one that exists right now. The future is a blank page, and one day won't write on it. Only decisions made in the present moment hold the pen. You must understand this truth. Progress begins the moment you say, this is day one. Day one is not about resources, it's about resolve. It's not about circumstances, it's about choice, and it doesn't require clarity. It only requires commitment. The most successful men and women of history were not handed permission slips. They declared their day one in spite of the storm. The illusion of one day is rooted in fear, fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of discomfort. But the man who achieves greatness learns to move through fear, not away from it. He does not wait for it to disappear. He uses it as fuel. Day one begins not when the fear is gone, but when the purpose becomes louder than the fear. It is a spiritual law that the universe does not respond to wishes. It responds to wills. The man who waits to feel ready is governed by emotion. The man who says, today is day one, is governed by vision. The former remains idle while the latter builds empires, carves out new roads, and defies every excuse. There are no guarantees on day one, no maps, no applause, no safety nets. But what day one does bring is momentum. And momentum is more powerful than motivation. It turns small beginnings into unstoppable forces. It is the hidden engine behind every triumph, every fortune, every story worth telling. If you are reading these words and feeling the flicker of ambition, it is not by accident. It is your soul knocking. It is the voice within saying, enough waiting, stand up, begin. Every dream you have buried beneath one day is still alive, but it is gasping for air. The only way to bring it back to life is to act today. The man who embraces day one separates himself from the crowd. He becomes uncommon. While others wait for permission, he creates opportunity. While others cling to comfort, he pursues purpose. He understands that destiny is not something you stumble upon. It is something you claim, one courageous step at a time. There is a common delusion that has held back more men than failure ever could, the belief that you must feel ready before you move. They wait for the right conditions, the right mood, the right amount of confidence, the right alignment of circumstances, as if greatness will knock politely when it's time. But the truth is simple and sobering. You will never feel ready, and you don't need to be. Success has never belonged to the one who waited. It has always crowned the one who acted. The idea that preparation precedes progress is often reversed. In truth, progress precedes preparation. You become prepared through the doing, not before it. Waiting for readiness is a form of avoidance, a lie dressed as wisdom. Action is the cure for doubt. Every step taken into uncertainty forces you to grow. Muscles do not form from thinking about lifting weights. They are built under resistance. The same is true for courage, skill, and faith. If you wait to feel confident, you will never act. But if you act, you will become confident. The decision must precede the feeling. The man who wins is not the one who starts with everything, but the one who starts with something. Often, all he has is a vision, a burning desire, and a willingness to move despite the fog. He walks forward not because he sees the full staircase, but because he trusts the step beneath his feet. That trust becomes power. That power becomes progress. Do not confuse readiness with ability. The greatest abilities are awakened by necessity. The moment you put yourself on the line, the mind sharpens, the spirit engages, and the soul ignites. You tap into reservoirs you never knew you had. This is the secret of momentum. It does not come from waiting to be worthy. It comes from choosing to begin before the worthiness arrives. The world doesn't reward intention. It rewards execution. You will never be paid for the ideas you keep in your mind. You will be paid for the results you bring to life, and results don't require perfection. They require motion, bold, imperfect, fearless motion. History remembers the man who took the leap, not the one who stood on the cliff, calculating the wind. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the conquest of it. The man who acts before he is ready is not fearless. He simply refuses to let fear dictate the outcome. He knows that fear has a voice, but so does purpose, and only one can sit at the throne of his decisions. He chooses purpose, and in doing so, he becomes unstoppable. Opportunity doesn't knock, it whispers, and it never waits. If you do not seize it while it's uncertain, someone else will. The most defining moments in life are never scheduled. They erupt when you least expect them, and those who act, unready, unsure, but unwilling to miss their chance, those are the ones who change the course of their lives forever. The path to greatness is not paved with comfort. It is carved from the stone of risk, commitment, and forward motion. Every master was once a beginner who dared to be terrible before he became excellent. Every leader was once a nobody who made a decision to start before he felt worthy. The only qualification required to begin is the decision to do so. The mind, when left unchecked, will construct endless justifications for delay. It will dress fear in reason. It will clothe laziness in logic. It will say things like, "Now is not the time," or "Let me wait until I'm more prepared," or "I'll start when everything is in place." But these are not the words of progress. They are the whispers of procrastination, disguised as prudence. There is no such thing as the perfect time. It is a myth, a mirage seen by those who stand still. The man who waits for ideal conditions is like a farmer who stares at the sky, hoping for the right cloud before planting his seed. Meanwhile, seasons pass, the soil dries, and opportunity dies from neglect, not from resistance. Perfection is a clever thief. It steals your now. It convinces you that preparation without action is noble. But action, not perfection, is the soil from which all achievement grows. You must not let the desire for flawless timing become a cage around your ambition. Perfection doesn't lead to progress, momentum does. The most powerful forces in the universe respond to movement, not meditation. Dreams are not fulfilled by the man who waits. They are granted to the man who builds while others hesitate. He understands that the storm may never pass, but the ship doesn't sail until the anchor is lifted. So he hoists his sails even in the rain. The perfect time will never come because time was never meant to be perfect. It was meant to be used. The minutes and hours you waste searching for the right moment are resources you'll never get back. While you wait, someone else is working. While you hesitate, someone else is starting. And while you stall, someone else is finishing what you haven't begun. Procrastination is not always loud. It doesn't always look like sloth or avoidance. Sometimes it dresses in productivity. It makes you revise your plans, research more, sharpen your vision endlessly, without ever taking the first step. But activity is not accomplishment. A spinning wheel looks busy, but it goes nowhere. Every great builder, every pioneer, every soul that broke free from mediocrity began under less than ideal conditions. They did not wait for clarity. They acted with faith. They did not demand certainty. They created results. They understood that the weather of life is never calm enough for the faint of heart. So they moved in the storm, and because they moved, the storm parted. You do not need more time. You need more decision. You need more urgency, more resolve, more willingness to act without applause or guarantees. The doors of destiny do not open for the well-prepared. They open for the bold, and boldness has no schedule. It only has action. The lie of the perfect time is a comfort to the man who fears failure. But success is born from motion, from mess, from mistakes. If you only begin when you're sure of the outcome, you've already limited how far you can go. The most extraordinary lives are not led by those who knew they would win, but by those who chose to try, even when failure was possible. The world does not wait for your schedule. Opportunity has no patience. Life rewards the decisive, the daring, the doers who are willing to walk into the unknown with a hammer in one hand and vision in the other. Destiny is not written by chance. It is forged by choice. And the tools that shape it are not mystery or luck, but three eternal forces: discipline, faith, and action. These are not abstract virtues. They are practical powers, and together they form the triumphant triangle from which every life of greatness is built. Discipline is the bridge between thought and achievement. It is the steel spine of all progress. The man who conquers nations first conquers himself. He rises when others sleep. He acts when others make excuses. He does not consult his feelings. He consults his vision. Discipline is not about feeling like doing the work. It is about doing the work regardless of how you feel. Discipline gives birth to habits, and habits build empires. A single act of discipline, repeated daily, will outwork bursts of inspiration every time. You can dream endlessly, plan perfectly, and wish passionately, but if you lack discipline, all your potential rots unused. The man with discipline may start with less, but he will finish with more. Yet discipline alone is not enough. It must be joined by faith, faith in the unseen, faith in the yet to be, faith in yourself. Faith is the inner force that whispers, "Keep going," when the world screams, "Give up." It is the fire that lights the road when your eyes cannot see the end. Without faith, discipline becomes dry labor. With it, labor becomes sacred. Faith turns effort into belief. It convinces the soul that persistence is not wasted, and when results delay, and they will, it is faith that holds the line. The man of faith does not ask if it will happen. He knows it will, because he has already decided to outlast every obstacle in his path. His vision is not a question, it is a decree, and still, the triangle is incomplete without action. Action is the conductor through which discipline and faith release their energy into the world. The man who thinks with clarity and believes with intensity, but fails to act, is like a sword that stays in the sheath, sharp but useless. Action is where intention meets impact. Every idea must be baptized in effort. Every belief must be proven in motion. Action is not only movement, it is power in motion. It separates the dreamer from the doer, the planner from the performer, the observer from the architect. And no man who acts consistently in alignment with his purpose ever remains ordinary. Together, these three form an unshakable core. Discipline is the daily grind, the routine, the structure. Faith is the invisible fuel, the unshakable trust in the process. And action is the expression, the forward thrust, the refusal to stay still. When a man masters these, he becomes unstoppable, not because life gets easier, but because he becomes stronger. Let others look for shortcuts. Let them search for luck, wait for signs, or lean on chance. But the one who understands the power of discipline, the energy of faith, and the force of action builds his own future. He is not a passenger in life. He is the blacksmith of his soul, hammering away each day, shaping not just outcomes, but himself. And as he toils in silence, as he works without recognition, as he believes when others doubt, a transformation begins. There are no accidents in the realm of vision. The dream that burns quietly inside you, the image you return to when the world is silent, that is not a coincidence. It is not some passing thought or fleeting fantasy. It is the language of your soul, speaking to you in pictures, emotions, and restless hunger. That dream is not random. It is a blueprint. Just as a seed contains the full design of the tree, your dream contains the full design of the person you are destined to become. It is the invisible architecture of your potential, and if you dare to pursue it, it will draw out of you the exact qualities you were meant to develop: strength, courage, persistence, ingenuity. The dream does not just offer a reward. It requires a refinement of self. Most men dismiss their dreams as foolish. They bury them under practicality and disguise their surrender as maturity. But the man who listens closely to the whisper within, he knows the truth, his dream is a calling. And to ignore it is not just a mistake, it is a betrayal of the highest order. Your dream is evidence, evidence that something within you has been chosen to create, to change, to build. It is not your imagination, it is your assignment. The dream itself is proof that you possess the raw material to bring it into reality. You may not have the resources yet, but you have the blueprint, and that is where all building begins. To follow the dream is to step into alignment with your true nature. It is not about ego or applause. It is about obedience to purpose. You were not made to simply exist. You were made to express. That dream is the keyhole through which your soul seeks to shine into the world. To live without chasing it is to live with a silent ache that never disappears. And here is a mystery few understand. The dream grows as you grow. What looks impossible today will feel inevitable tomorrow if you begin. But if you delay, the dream will shrink beneath layers of doubt and logic until it becomes a shadow, still there, still alive, but weakened by neglect. A dream fed daily becomes destiny. A dream ignored becomes regret. The most powerful life you can live is the one aligned with the dream you were given, not the dream handed down to you by society, not the one that pleases others, but your dream, the one that makes your pulse quicken and your spirit rise. That dream is a compass, and it will guide you not around difficulty, but through it toward meaning. Never forget this. If the dream was placed within you, then the path to it must exist. It may be hidden. It may be steep, but it is there, and every obstacle on the journey is not a barrier. It is a test to see if you are willing to become the person your dream requires you to be. That is the price, and that is the gift. You may wonder, why me, why this dream? The answer is simple. Because no one else was given the same combination of heart, mind, and spirit as you. You were entrusted with it, and that means it is yours to honor. You were not chosen randomly, you were chosen precisely. So when the dream visits you again in the stillness of the night, there is a great misunderstanding in the minds of most men. They believe that success begins with what they possess: money, connections, education, opportunity. They scan the horizon, searching for external advantages, and when they don't find them, they retreat, convinced that they are not yet ready, but they are wrong. The starting point of all power is not found outside, it lies within. The man who builds an empire begins not with tools, but with thought. His first victory is over doubt. His first conquest is his own hesitation. His first battle is fought in the silent corridors of the mind. All outward achievement is the echo of an inward awakening. Until the mind shifts, nothing in the world can move. The masses wait for permission, for approval, for ideal circumstances. But the rare man knows, if he waits for the world to change, he will die waiting. So he changes himself, he alters his belief, he strengthens his will, he sharpens his focus, and as he does, the world around him bends to meet the new image he holds inside. You do not need more resources. You need more resourcefulness. You do not need better luck. You need greater clarity. The greatest transformations in life begin when a man turns inward, faces the truth of what he wants, and refuses to lie to himself any longer. That decision, that inner alignment, sends a signal to the universe more powerful than words. It is easier to chase tactics than it is to confront the man in the mirror. But until that confrontation happens, until the war within is won, no strategy will save you. A weak mind can never carry a strong dream. The weight will break it. So the foundation must be laid first inside. Through discipline, conviction, and self-command, most men never begin because they believe they are waiting on something. But the wise man understands life is waiting on him. Life is a mirror, not a machine. It reflects back to you what you believe, what you expect, and what you persist in. Change your thoughts, and your reality must follow. This is not philosophy, it is law. You must become the person your dream requires, before the dream arrives. Success is not attracted to the needy or the unsure. It is magnetized by those who have declared their intention with such force that the world has no choice but to respond. The preparation you need is not in a course or a classroom. It is in your heart, in your focus, in your relentless decision to begin. You cannot rise above what you believe you are. If your inner world is limited, your outer world will always reflect that limitation. The ceiling you hit is not the world's resistance. It is your own thinking. Expand the vision within, and the borders of your life will expand to match it. Everything rises or falls according to your internal standard. Do not search for the next tool, the next method, the next motivator. The power you seek is not hidden in a book or buried in someone else's success story. It is within your grasp right now because it is within you. The only requirement is the courage to look inward and the honesty to say, "This is where it starts." And once that decision is made, once the internal switch is flipped, the world around you begins to shift. Excuses are seductive. They dress themselves in logic. They speak softly, whispering comfort to the ear that seeks escape. They say, "You're too late. You're too old. You're too inexperienced. The timing isn't right." But listen closely, and you will hear the true voice behind every excuse. Fear. Fear does not always roar. Often it wears the mask of reason. It pretends to protect you from failure, when in truth it is protecting you from growth. And it uses excuses as its vocabulary. Each excuse, no matter how convincing, is a silent admission of surrender to something smaller than your purpose. The man who lives in excuses lives in chains. Chains he forged himself. The man of power, the man of purpose, does not speak in excuses. He speaks in commitment. His words align with action. His promises are not made to impress others. They are made to bind himself to the path he has chosen. Commitment is not convenience. It is the decision to keep going when convenience disappears. Excuses require nothing. Anyone can find them. Anyone can recite them. They are the language of the average. But commitment, that requires everything. It requires sacrifice. It requires perseverance. It demands that you show up, not just when it is easy. but when it is excruciating, and in that demand it produces strength. Commitment does not consult your mood. It does not seek permission from your circumstances. It simply says, I will, and in that declaration it generates momentum. While excuses shrink your world, commitment expands it. It draws opportunities, allies, and results to you, not because you are lucky, but because you are loyal to your vision. Look at any man who has built something that endures, a business, a legacy, a life of significance, and you will find a trail of commitments kept in silence. Not because he was fearless, but because he refused to negotiate with fear. While others waited for the right moment, he created it through unshakable resolve. Excuses keep you safe, yes, but only in the prison of mediocrity. They guard the borders of the comfort zone like loyal sentinels, but commitment leads you beyond that border into the unknown where growth lives. It is there, in that uncertainty, that power is born. Not borrowed, not begged, born from struggle, from decisions made in darkness, from the fire of tested will. There is a law written into the fabric of the universe. You receive not according to your dreams, but according to your decisions. Excuses delay your reward. Commitment accelerates it. The man who commits without wavering sends a message not only to the world, but to himself, I can be trusted. And when a man can trust himself, there is no force strong enough to stop him. The habit of excuses creates weakness. The habit of commitment creates character. One builds comfort, the other builds capacity, and life will always offer you both, the comfort of your reasons or the capacity of your results. You must choose daily which language you will speak. One keeps you where you are, the other takes you to where you were meant to be. And if you refuse to bow to fear, if you silence the voice of excuses and speak only in the firm, unyielding tone of commitment, then something powerful begins to awaken within you. Every man is born with potential, raw, untamed, immeasurable. It is not granted selectively. It is the divine inheritance of all who breathe, but potential is not destiny. It is only the starting point. The bridge between what is possible and what is real is built not by talent, but by decision. And the first, most powerful decision a man can make is to stop negotiating with what he knows he was born to become. Negotiation is the game of the weak. It is the internal debate between the man you are and the man you could be. It is the voice that says, maybe not today, I'll start after this season, let me wait until I'm more ready. And with every compromise, you trade power for comfort, excellence for average, greatness for excuses. Potential does not entertain delay. It is not interested in your comfort. It does not bargain or plead. It demands commitment. It asks that you rise above the noise of the world and the weakness within. And if you refuse to obey its call, it does not shout. It simply withdraws silently, slowly, until you no longer feel its fire and begin to believe you never had it. To unlock potential, you must issue a decree, no more hesitation. No more deals with mediocrity. You must close the back door, burn the bridge to retreat, tear up the contract that allows you to justify staying small. Until that moment arrives, every action you take will be diluted by doubt. But the moment you commit without condition, something changes. Power enters the room. Most people never fail because they lack ability. They fail because they keep renegotiating the price of success. They wake up one day willing to pay it and the next day looking for a discount, but greatness is not on sale. It never has been. It never will be. It comes only to those who pay in full, with focus, with sacrifice, with relentless discipline. The man who stops negotiating with his potential becomes a force that cannot be reasoned with. He no longer asks if the journey will be hard. He expects it. He no longer checks for the approval of others. He doesn't need it. He no longer seeks comfort. He replaces it with conviction, and in doing so, he triggers a chain reaction that changes everything around him. When you decide that your standard is non-negotiable, your actions begin to align with precision. You don't dabble, you dominate. You don't delay, you deliver. You don't guess, you go. This level of focus intimidates the masses because it demands the one thing they fear most: responsibility, total responsibility for their own outcomes. Potential only respects the man who honors it with action. It stays dormant for the man who hides behind preparation, planning, or passivity. But for the man who declares, "I will not live beneath my purpose," potential becomes a servant. It begins to open doors, reveal insights, and release energy that was once trapped by indecision. You were not born to debate your worth. You were not given dreams just to tolerate them. Every time you guess your greatness, you insult the very gift you were given. Stop asking the world for permission to rise. Stop consulting your fear before every move. Look inward and tell your potential, "I'm ready. I will no longer doubt you. I will no longer delay you." And from the moment that declaration is made, from the moment you stop negotiating and start moving with authority, you will begin to see that success was never waiting on the world. Stop saying, "One day I'll write that book." Stop saying, "One day I'll start that business." Stop saying, "One day I'll get fit, speak up, break free," because one day is a thief. It steals your power, it delays your destiny, but day one is the birth of a new reality. Day one is courage in motion. Day one is you drawing a line in the sand and saying, "This is where it begins. This is where I rise." So, what's it going to be? Another excuse, another delay, another year lost in hesitation, or will you stand up today, real, imperfect, and claim this moment as your own? It doesn't matter how many times you've failed. What matters is what you do next. Choose now. Choose boldly, choose day one, because your future is not a matter of chance, it's a matter of choice, and your greatness is not a question of if, it's a matter of when. Let today be that moment, let today be day one.